Are you looking for good negotiation after home inspection? Do you want some home inspection tips for sellers? And what is a buyer reasonable request for repair? That's what we're talking about today. Let's get started. Hi, I'm Kim Ward, real estate broker in San Diego, California, an expert with helping executors, administrators, and trustees with homes in probate or trust. Today's topic is good negotiation after home inspection. What is a buyer reasonable request for repair? Within the first few weeks of going under contract with a buyer, your buyer will be doing many inspections. It will first start out with a general inspection. That typically costs about $500 and it's a buyer expense. Once that's been complete, that inspector will recommend further inspection by licensed contractors, such as a plumber, an electrician, a roofer, maybe even a foundation expert. Now, every house sells as is under the California Association of Realtors contract. But experience shows that buyers, once they've read through all of the inspection reports, are going to submit a California Association of Realtors request for repair document to the seller. The buyers will pour through all those inspection reports, and then they'll probably get a little nervous because there's always going to be things wrong with a home. That's where their agent comes in to guide them, to keep them calm and have them look at the big picture. But sometimes I will get a lengthy request for repair, typically from an agent that has little control over their buyer client or just doesn't have the experience. Now, when the buyer receives this lengthy repair of things that the buyer's requesting are rectified, they typically want to push back and say absolutely no. And that could make the entire transaction implode. Now, I've received many buyers' requests for repair that, I thought were a little unreasonable, and that gives me an opportunity to use my negotiating skills to help my sellers. So what will happen with the inspection is that the inspector will write something is at the end of its usable life, or they recommend replacement. So for instance, a hot water heater usually lasts 12 to 15 years. Now, they can last much longer than that, but that's its typical lifespan. So the inspector would write at the end of its usable lifespan, and then the buyer's going to think, I want a brand new hot water heater. Now, it's probably not unreasonable for the buyer to think that when the hot water heater is in perfectly good condition and may have another 5 or 10 years left. So buyers' agents should explain to their buyers that when something is working correctly, they shouldn't be asking for it to be replaced. And they certainly shouldn't ask for the seller to upgrade items that are still in perfectly good working condition. Buyers should also not ask for abatement. That means popcorn ceilings or the ductwork for the hot water heater sometimes, or for the furnace, and sometimes there's even tile that may have asbestos in it. The general understanding is that when those items are not disturbed, it's not a health and safety issue. But sometimes buyers get scared and they're gonna ask for things to be abated that don't need to be taken care of. And that's where we have to negotiate and explain to them. Also, the buyers should not be asking for cosmetic changes such as paint or flooring. Unless the carpet or the flooring is in very, very poor condition, then it may be reasonable to ask for a credit towards some new flooring. Here in San Diego, we have termites. So it's normal for buyers to ask for a Section 1 termite clearance. I've done another video on that, and you should find the link somewhere up here that you could get further information about a Section 1 termite clearance. The termite inspection will also be looking for anything that has fungus. Those things are to be corrected in most cases. Other items that are normal for buyers to ask for are health and safety items, such as a hot water heater needs to be properly strapped, smoke detectors need to be installed, carbon monoxide detectors need to be installed prior to the close of escrow. With carbon monoxide detectors, it's each floor of the property needs to have one. So if you have a 2-story house, you need 2 carbon monoxide detectors. Buyers should be focusing on primary systems such as HVAC, the heating and air conditioning system, plumbing, electrical, the foundation, and the roof. All of those things should be in relatively good operating condition. Now, if you are accepting a buyer's contract that has an FHA or a VA loan, there may be appraisal conditions. VA and FHA do not allow any peeling paint throughout the house. They will look at the flooring. If there's holes or trip hazards, things like that, they may ask that to be repaired. I just recently helped to sell a house that the garage, the pedestrian door to the garage, was hollow core. We had to replace that and make it a solid door. That's to keep fire from coming in from the garage into the house. They may also ask for screens to be repaired if there's holes in them. With cash or conventional, there typically aren't those type of appraisal conditions. So you should really sit down with your agent when you're looking at offers and have a clear understanding that there are going to be some expenses to prepare the house properly for that appraisal. So once the appraisal's done, they'll give us the conditions, then we go back and we do those repairs, then the appraiser will come back and verify that those repairs were made. Sometimes it makes sense that your highest and best offer is a VA or FHA offer, and perhaps it will cost $1,500 to correct the appraisal conditions. Then it makes sense to do that. So what's an unreasonable request for repair from a buyer? Like I said, when a buyer submits a laundry list of things, I just recently helped a client that the buyer actually asked for $17,000 to basically rebuild the master bathroom. They ended up getting zero. That's what we negotiated because they had seen the condition of the bathroom prior to putting the offer in, and certainly my seller was not going to rebuild or give them $17,000 off the purchase price so that they could rebuild that bathroom. That was unreasonable. It's also unreasonable to ask the seller to change the plumbing from galvanized pipe to copper, to change single paned windows to double paned, to replace a roof that is not leaking. It may be getting close to the end of its life. If it's a 20-year-old roof, roofs usually last 25 years, but it's unreasonable to ask for that to be replaced. The buyer will know that they have 5 more years, approximately, before they're going to have to replace it. So when a buyer submits a lengthy request for repair, it can end up with a very unhappy seller, and the whole transaction could implode. But if you remain calm and you look at that laundry list and you determine a few things that you're willing to take care of, and we go back to negotiating, the buyers typically will accept that. So when you get that lengthy repair request, you can say no. But again, I think that you should look at a few things, get that win-win situation, because any reports that you receive from your current buyer will be given to your next buyer, and you could end up in the same place again. So it's always, in my opinion, better to work with the buyer you have and negotiate as strongly as we can to get a win-win situation. Bottom line is, we do want your buyer to have a safe, livable home, but they don't need to have it be rebuilt by you. The last thing I want to talk with you about is, in lieu of doing the repairs, to give the buyer a credit towards the repairs. That way, at the close of escrow, they will get that credit. Then after we're closed, they can go and do the repair if they choose to. And the other side of that is that the seller, you, the executor, the administrator, the trustee, and the estate will have no liability based on those repairs. So that's typically what I do, is negotiate a dollar amount to give to the buyer from the estate proceeds at close of escrow. I hope you found this of value. If you did, please give me a thumbs up, that like button. And also, if you want to be notified of my weekly videos, and you wouldn't want to miss any of them, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and the bell button, and you'll be notified. If you have comments or questions, go ahead and place them below. I'll be sure to answer any of your questions. I look forward to seeing you next week. Have a wonderful week.